What is going on, guys? Nathan here. Today I'm going to talk about the top 7 signs that you might just be the best poker player at the table. From my nearly 20 years in this game, 10 years as a professional, these are the top signs of the best of the best. Study these top tips and implement them into your game. Counting down from 7 to 1. Here we go. Number 7 is playing the top 15 to 20% of their hands. Guys, if there is one thing in poker that you can get right from the start, it is to play the right hands. And I'm gonna tell you what hands to play just in a second here. Guys, most people are playing trashy hands like a king 9 offsuit or an 8-6 offsuit. And when I say offsuit, I mean 2 different suits. Guys, these hands put you at a mathematical disadvantage at the poker table before you even enter the hand. No good poker player in the history of this game would ever do such a thing. So here is an example of the hands that I would suggest to play, especially if you are fairly new to the game or you play small stakes. Play pocket aces down to pocket 2s, play ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, a bunch of broadways like king queen, king jack, queen jack, and then play a bunch of suited connectors like a 10-9 suited, 9-8 suited, and an 8-7 suited. So for example, the 8 of hearts and 7 of hearts. If it's 8 of hearts and 7 of clubs, do not play it. Guys, the bottom line is do not fight the math in poker. That is a loser's game. Guys, you will never win in poker when the odds are stacked against you. Don't play bad hands and your results are going to skyrocket. All right, guys, sign number 6, you're the best player at the table, and that is that you start small. Guys, having coached over 100 students in this game, I can tell you that the number one mistake that most people make is starting out in high stakes games that are currently above their skill level. Guys, this is a massive mistake, which I try to get across to people all the time. The game of poker, guys, has been around for nearly 200 years. I actually looked it up. It started in the 1830s down in the deep south of America on steamboats in Mississippi, something like that. But guys, that's nearly 200 years ago. The game is not going anywhere. You don't have to jump into the $10,000 games or the $1,000 games today. They're going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be there next year. They're going to be there 10 years from now. They're going to be there 50 years from now. So why not start at the lowest stakes? Do things right. Guys, you can literally play poker on the internet for $2. So if you're playing live in a casino, in most $1, $2 games, you can buy in for as little as $50. Not an amount that's going to break the bank. And what this allows you to do is to play against the weakest players in the world and prove to yourself that you can beat these players first before you step up the stakes and battle really good players in mid and high stakes games. And it's a really simple formula, guys. If you're playing online, you play the $2 games, play them for 1 week. Again, guys, the higher stakes games are not going anywhere. If you solidly beat the $2 games, next week, jump up to the $5 games. Same thing, rinse and repeat. If you beat the $5 games solidly for the next week, jump up to the $10 games the next week. Guys, if you just do things simple the right way like this and prove to yourself that you can beat each game step by step as you jump up the limits, this is the way to big time success in this game. All right, guys, sign number 5 that you're the best player at the table, and this one's pretty obvious. You play at the right poker site or poker room if you play live, or in the right home game if you play in home games or on apps or what have you. Guys, the bottom line is not all poker rooms, poker sites, poker apps, home games were created equal, not by a long shot. And that is why I always say that game selection is your number one skill at the poker table these days. And basically what I mean by that is choosing who you decide to play against. Guys, this is the number one thing that you always have in your control at the poker table, is whether you choose to play at that poker table or not. And I still see so many people these days choosing to play in tough games full of really solid players who are watching videos like this who take the game seriously. Why would you do that, guys? That doesn't make any sense when you could just be playing in a game full of fish. As I've said before, guys, if you play small stakes, which is what 90% of people watching this video play, online there's literally hundreds of other tables to choose from on the bigger sites. And if you play live in the casino, guys, there's many tables. There's another casino down the road. Guys, you don't need to pound your chest and build build your ego in this game. That is not going to help you get the results that you want in this game. Play against weak players who, for example, you want to look for players who are limping, calling down with bad hands, chasing every draw. These are the kind of players you want to play against, guys. If everyone at the table is playing the top 15 or 20% of their hands like we talked about before, do not play in that poker game. You want to look for people that are playing 50% of their hands or more and making all of these classic mistakes. Guys, do not get an ego. Only play in good poker games. All right, guys, sign number 4 that you might be the best player at the table, and that is that you don't get discouraged like 99% of people when the inevitable downswing happens. And what I mean by that is a run of bad cards where you can't win a hand to save your life. It's going to happen to you in this game, guys. I promise you. It is literally built into the math of the game. There's nothing that anyone can do to change that. Even if you are the best poker player in the world, you're going to have losing days, sometimes losing weeks, sometimes even losing years. I was recently looking at the results of Daniel Negreanu, often regarded as one of the best poker players in the world, and he actually recently publicly posted his results on Twitter, and despite what a lot of people think, he actually lost for 2 years in a row. I think it was 2015, 2016. He's won 8 out of the last 10 years because he's an excellent world-class professional, but this just goes to show, guys, that even the best poker players in the entire world can have not just losing days, weeks, or months, but losing years. Guys, this is something that it took me a very, very long time to understand before I went pro myself, is that you need to expect endless ups and downs in this game, guys. And so when things are going really bad for you at the table, this is when I choose to focus on the fundamentals instead, especially make sure that I'm playing a proper tight and aggressive strategy, also called tag. And if you want to learn the basics of that, I would recommend downloading my free poker cheat sheet. That will be the top link in the description below. All right, guys, sign number 3 that you are the best poker player at the table, and that is that you are aggressive. All right, guys, so most people play poker passively. I've discussed this in many videos, and it's one of the top reasons why they lose, because you need to be able to take pots away from people. Guys, most of the time in poker, nobody even has a pair, they don't have a draw, and so therefore the person who simply wants the pot more is likely to be the one who takes it down. So this is an incredibly important thing for you guys to remember, is that everybody gets dealt the same amount of good and bad hands over the long run in this game, and the only question you need to ask yourself is, how are you playing your bad hands and your mediocre hands? Guys, I don't need to make a video to teach you how to play pocket aces or how to play when you flop a straight or something. That's easy. It's not difficult. It's when you have a hand like ace queen, a regular player calls you and the flop comes with a jack 4-5. What do you do in a spot like this, guys? Well, instead of checking and giving up or checking and calling, you should just make a bet here, guys. There's no reason to screw around. Guys, remember, your opponent in poker has missed the flop on average 2 out of every 3 times, so therefore if you just make a bet here, there's a very good chance that they're going to just fold. Guys, the bottom line is always err on the side of leaning on your opponent, making a bet. If you don't know what to do, just make a bet. This is really the bottom line, guys. Aggressive poker is winning poker. All good poker players understand this. All right, let's move on to sign number 2 that you are the best poker player at the table, and that is that you never pay off the nits. Guys, I've mentioned before, this is the only thing at the poker table that can truly put me on tilt, that can get me frustrated and angry, is when I pay off the bad players. They're also called the rocks, the nits. Guys, these players are just playing their hand face up. They're sitting around waiting for pocket aces, pocket kings. They're trying to hit their flush, their straight, and so on. And when they bet or raise, trust me, guys, they're not bluffing you. I used to play this style myself for many years while mass multi-tabling online poker, and when I raised you, when you got your pocket aces and I raised you on the turn of 9 jack 8 5, I'm not bluffing you guys. I've got a hand like pocket 9s, pocket jacks, pocket 8s, pocket 5s. I flopped a straight with queen 10. I've turned the straight with 7 6. I've got top 2 pair with jack 9. I think you guys get the idea. I've got something that is way ahead of pocket aces on this board, and many of these hands, like a straight, has pocket aces drawing completely dead, meaning that there is no card on the river that can allow pocket aces to win this hand. So guys, the bottom line is respect the tight players at the poker table. They're not screwing around, guys, when they raise you, especially on what I call the big money streets, the turn in the river. I know it's painful to fold your pocket aces or your ace king if you hit top pair, but guys, you need to understand that these hands are not a license to print money. Sometimes other players can hit something stronger than a 1 pair their hand, and the best players have the discipline to be able to lay down their pocket aces or ace king in this situation. All right, guys, let's move on to the number one sign that you are the best poker player at the table, and I already alluded to this one earlier. You play for the long run. Guys, let me tell you that I have gone through countless stretches in my professional poker career where I have lost or broken even at the poker tables for 100,000 hands or more. We already talked about before how Daniel Negreanu is publicly on record as having losing years. Guys, you absolutely have to be prepared for this. This is shocking to most beginners. Honestly, you can see them everywhere in comment sections all over the internet, peddling their bad beat stories to anyone who's willing to listen about how their aces just lost 3 times in a row last night. Guys, this is a drop in the bucket. It doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. The best poker players in the world, they're only interested in the results over the course of months, years, and even decades in the case of professional poker players. Guys, the best poker players in the world do not play this game to book a win. They don't care if they're up or down on individual sessions because they know it means literally zero in the grand scheme of things. Guys, you absolutely have to make peace with this vital, fundamental facet of the game if you ever want to have success, and that is poker is 100% a long-term game. If you got into poker as a get-rich-quick scheme, if you're trying to make $1 million by next week, honestly, my advice for you is just quit right now. This is not the game for you. Guys, poker is a lot like investing in the stock market or crypto or what have you. You need to be in this for the long run. That's the only thing that matters. All right, guys, like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, and if you want to know my entire strategy to absolutely crush the small and mid-stakes games, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That will be the top link in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. All the best at the poker tables, unless you're on mine.